Audra Blondin.
And I'm John Morris.
And we're here to spend the next 2 hours giving you some local and maybe national, statewide election night coverage. We've been doing this for a number of years now,
Yes, we have.
and completely bipartisan. So we can both give you our insights and thoughts. We do have you do have, as a viewer, the opportunity to call in. I have the number here. It is 860-361-9985. Again, that's 860-361-9985. So if anybody would like to call in with any results or any comments, anything you'd like to share, we'd be happy to take your call. So, John, you have some interesting statistics?
Well, yes. Tonight is going to be an historic election, no matter who wins. On the national level, if Vice President Harris wins, she'll be the first woman elected president. In addition to that, she will join a very elite group of vice presidents who have successfully succeeded the president on their own right. That list is John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, Martin Van Buren, and George H.W. Bush.
Yep.
So if she wins tonight, she will become the fifth vice president in history to succeed the president that she served in her own right. Now, if Donald Trump wins, it will be the second time in history that a president who lost re-election has come back and has regained the presidency. That goes back to 1892 in the election between Benjamin Harrison and Grover Cleveland. Cleveland was 22nd president, lost his re-election, and came back and became the 24th president. So tonight, as I said before, it's going to be an incredible historic night. And going back to the election of 1892, it'd be interesting. There were a third party candidate in 1892 who actually garnered 22 electoral votes, but it was not impactful on the election as Grover Cleveland clearly won the popular vote and the electoral vote. Tonight, all eyes are on the 5th district. Mm-hmm. The congressional race, the 30th district state senate race, and we will be taking a very strong look tonight at the city of Torrington. The voters of Torrington will have a deciding factor on whether 2 incumbent state senators go back to Hartford, whether we will have a new state representative from Torrington on the Republican side, and in addition to that, could be very helpful to George Logan in his quest to be elected to Congress.
Right.
In addition to that, we're going to be taking a look at the town of Goshen. The Goshen Republican Town Committee has made an all-out effort to push out Republican votes. And in a small town, if you have a tight election somewhere, that effort, we'll see if it pays off and see who it will help. And in addition to that, we're going to take a look at the 64th district. The Republican candidate is Barbara Breer, the popular town clerk, running against incumbent Maria Horn, and we will see how she does in that race. So stay tuned. As the results come in, we'll have answers to many of these questions.
Right. And I think one of the most interesting dynamics of this evening is the variety of the candidates that are on various lines, more than either the Republican or the Democratic line. We have like our Representative Maria Horn is on 3 lines.
Correct.
Right, Democrat, working families, and
Independent.
Paul Honig is on Democrat and working families.
Well, and then Steve Harding, very interesting. 2 years ago, Steve Harding was elected to his first term in the state Senate. He became the Republican leader in the state Senate. And the last time he ran against a candidate who was on 3 lines. He was only on 1. This time, he's able to run against a candidate on only the Democrat line, and he will be on the Republican line and the independent line. So that should be an advantage to him. It's very interesting. In the 30th district, that gets you about 900 to 1,000 votes being on the independent line. So that could play a big role. Statewide, the Democrats think they have an opportunity in the 30th, and they think it will be a big upset. Quite frankly, I think they're going to be very disappointed.
Well, in Justin Potter's defense, he was an outstanding candidate, born and raised in the Northwest Corner, really held himself out as he says, a practical Democrat. And I think his message is really resonated, knocked on thousands of doors all throughout the district. So we'll see. Honestly, we both know a lot's going to depend on what happens at the top of the ticket.
That will help. But
Right.
it's very interesting. In the past, many times people will vote Democrat at the top, Republican at the bottom. So in years where the top of the ticket in the 30th district and some of our state rep districts didn't do as well, the incumbent Republican state representative or state senator did very well. And so we'll see if how much ticket splitting there's going to be. But that's why we're looking at Torrington.
Right.
Torrington could deliver some very big numbers for our candidates, and if they do, it will be very helpful to both Senator Seminara, Senator Harding, George Logan, and Joe Canino, who is running in the State House race.
For the 65th. So when I was out at the Armory for about 2 hours from 5 to 7, there was almost a 2-hour wait in line. The line stretched the entire street of Cole Place there into the Fusionist Park parking lot. I've never seen that. I've been doing this standing out there more than 20 years, every election, and it was. I never saw so many people. You would thought with maybe with the early voting, it wouldn't have been as crowded. There was also, Stephen said, they had. I don't know how many hundreds of people showed up at the Torrington City Hall for, I guess they have same-day voting.
Yes,
also.
I did hear that there were quite a few
Right.
people coming out in Torrington for same-day voting, which is great. I mean, we want everybody who's eligible to vote. And with early voting, you would have thought there wouldn't have been those types of lines, but it's an indication that a lot of people want to be heard this election.
And I think because when we were standing out there with on both sides of the aisle, because it's always very, very bipartisan standing out there at the Armory, and they said, "Well, why didn't they vote early?" Sometimes people just wake up and say, "I'm going to do it."
Well, that's true. And one of the things that I know the Trump campaign was trying to do is to get people who normally don't vote, who would be sympathetic to their side, to get out and vote. And we'll see if that is actually what is happening in Torrington anyway.
And we need to remember, too, even though the polls close at 8 o'clock, if you are standing in line, you have the ability to vote. So if that line in the Armory is still an hour and a half long, those polls are not going to, those at the Armory, those polls are not going to close for a while.
We may have to wait till 9 o'clock to get results
Right.
In some of the precincts in Torrington. I think there's 5, 6 at least different precincts. And I don't want to forget the 63rd District. State Representative Jay
Right.
Case is running unopposed.
Unopposed, I believe, right? They didn't have a
Yes, so
candidate.
he's going to be reelected. There's no question about that. And that's very good news for the folks in the 63rd as he goes back to Hartford to represent them and bringing his common sense approach to government. And also, he has done a tremendous job in looking out for some of the disadvantaged folks, particularly those who might be having some type of a disability, to help them, get housing and food and those types of things. Jay has a big heart, and I think that's probably one of the reasons why he ran. No one wanted to challenge him. They're very pleased with the job he's doing, and they want him to continue to do it. So he will definitely be going back.
And I think we also need to highlight the 66th district, where you have a first time running for re-election, Karen.
Correct.
And Sharon Sherman, who I served with on the Democratic State Central Committee, is 83 years old and went to the caucus, and they said, we have no candidate. She volunteered as a placeholder, ended up becoming a full candidate, raised the money, qualified, and ran a very spirited and vigorous campaign for someone 83 years old. So it was great. And it gave people a choice. And that's really what democracy is all about. It's choice.
All I can say is beware when you agree to be a
placeholder,
because in most cases you're going to end up being
yeah,
the candidate.
That's right. That's
And
right.
Karen has run a great campaign. She spent a lot of time in Litchfield. 2 years ago, she lost Litchfield by a few votes. She spent a lot of time working in Litchfield, getting better known, and working for the community. So that will be a very interesting race, and it will be, I think, very hard for a Democrat to win that. The numbers are on our side on that one.
Although if if the rallies, these past weekend rallies were any indication, I think you had maybe half a dozen people and we had over 100. So that was a phenomenal rally on
It does
on
help
Sunday.
when you have a U.S. senator,
Yeah,
two U.S.
two senators,
a governor, some lieutenant governor.
congressperson, yeah.
You can call on some big names
Yeah, we
to
did.
attract people.
We
so,
did. That was
I
it.
can
Was
certainly
great. We were
understand
so
that.
honored to have them all come. And I know we had people from all around the district, all around the area that came by. And in Torrington, it was very well attended because we did Torrington, and then Litchfield, very well attended there as well. So. But today maybe tells a different story.
We'll know, and that's why you want to stay tuned
Pretty
because
soon.
we're hoping to have results coming in, so we'll have a much better idea
Right.
of who will be elected for these various offices.
Yep, and again, the number is 860-361-9985. If anyone has any comments or thoughts or want to, in any of the various towns in our viewing district here, if you have any thoughts or comments on if you went to vote today or stood at the polls, worked at the polls, how any of that went. Now I went to Goshen, just went by at 2:00, and there was nobody there. There were nobody standing out at the polls. No, I think as we were leaving, one car was driving into the parking lot.
Well, I can tell you, generally between 12 and 2, no matter what type of election you have, that's a very quiet
Kind
time
of a slow
at the polls.
time, right.
I've run for the State House twice and have helped numerous candidates, as you have.
Yes.
And I can tell you, 12 to 2, that's when you go take a lunch break because people just aren't there voting. Most people have either voted in the morning or at work and plan to come in around 4 p.m. and to close. Now, what I'd like to do is just kind of talk a little bit about the last two elections in the 30th District. As I said, Democrats think they have a shot here. So let's take a look at the last presidential election, 2020. State Senator Craig Minor was reelected with 28,719 votes. He received 53.4% of the vote. His Democrat challenger got 24,141 or 44.9% of the vote. That year, an independent candidate was running, and he received 937 votes or 1.7% of the total. And a total of 53,797 people voted in 2020 in the 30th District State Senate race. Steve Harding ran for the first time for the State Senate in 2022, when Craig decided to retire. He received 24,404 votes, 53.8% of the vote, and his opponent got 46.2% of the vote. On 3 lines, she got 20,945 votes on 3 lines, and being an independent and working families garnered her 1,000 of that 20,000. Total vote 45,349. And you say, how come? Generally speaking, in a non-presidential year, the voter turnout goes down, and it was very reflective here, where about 8,000 fewer people voted in 22 than they did in 2000. This being a presidential year, my guess is those numbers will come back up, and it will be very interesting to see exactly how many people have come out to vote in the 30th district, and if the percentages of victory stay the same. In both races, the plurality was about 4,000 votes. So that is something we can take a look at as the night goes forward.
And they were saying nationwide that they felt that Vice President had a much stronger ground game than former President Trump did. So that will remain to be seen whether that really does make a difference. I don't
There's
know.
a lot of things that they're talking about nationally. The number of blacks voting for Trump, it looks like that is much higher than it was 4 years ago. The number of Hispanics voting for Trump, they're going to be looking at rural areas. So we're going to find out if the polls are correct, if everything, all this analysis. It's very interesting, the hours and hours of analysis that you see on the various cable shows. And tonight, the analysis will be what the American people do and how they vote here in Connecticut and nationally, and who is going to win, and who is going to go back and who may not go back. So the final decision is always up to the voters. And tonight we will be hearing from them, and we'll find out what they decide.
Where we're going to be. Now they have our first projected winner. NBC News projects Chris Murphy. Senator Murphy has been reelected to the U.S. Senate, so I don't think there's any surprise there.
Did
so,
they
yeah.
give any indication of what the percent is going to be?
Let's see. And that Donald Trump won Florida. So let's see.
Trump also won Kentucky and Indiana, and Vice President Harris has won Vermont.
Okay. So we'll have to see.
So everything's going, on the national level, everything's going as expected. People felt that Trump would win Florida, Kentucky, and Indiana, and people thought, Vermont was in Harris's court. So no surprises yet. The states to look at, potential surprises: New Hampshire, Virginia, New Mexico,
Right.
all important North Carolina,
Pennsylvania.
and Pennsylvania is going to be the key.
That's it.
We probably aren't going to know Pennsylvania till many hours after we close this show.
So this says that Senator Murphy raised $12.3 million and spent $9.3 million, and had $6.9 million cash on hand as of October 16th. And that Curry was that the first selectman? Curry, what was his, or was he? What was his job? What is Chris's opponent, Senator Murphy's opponent?
Oh, you're talking about Matt Corey?
Matt Corey, yeah.
Well, Matt Corey is a business owner.
Okay.
He ran several businesses in Hartford and currently runs a restaurant in East Hartford,
Okay.
I believe, or Manchester. Now, we do have some results from Brookfield, which is the very southern part of the district. And Steve Harding received 1,073 votes, and Mr. Potter is at 488.
Oh boy. Okay.
And the state representative, Marty Foncello, received 940 votes to his opponent's 602. Brookfield being the biggest part of that State House district. So we'll see. Also, there's Newtown and Bethel as part of that.
That was that Aaron Zimmerman
Yes.
was Marty's
Yep.
opponent. Okay.
And Logan received 914 votes. Hayes received 639 in Brookfield.
Really? In all of Brookfield.
Yep. So he came close to what Steve did. Trump got 954 to 615 for Harris.
So it's pretty consistent.
the
Correct.
line.
Correct.
Right,
and
right.
Corey got 885 to 659. So, but in the Harding race, it looks like Steve Harding is the
Highest vote getter.
highest vote getter in Brookfield, and that should speak very well for him as the night continues. But we normally get something from the north first. Now we're getting it from the
The
south.
south, that's
so
right.
that's very good.
Well, and I think along with Brookfield, New Milford will be, very much key because it's not all of Brookfield. We're only talking the 30th, right?
Yeah, they took a slice of Brookfield and they put it into the 32nd State Senate district.
Okay. So then, but it'll be all of New Milford, which is, I think, within the 30th, the largest. What's the voting population of New Milford?
Voting population, they got like 27,000.
Well,
They got quite a few.
Okay.
And-
So that's larger than Torrington, I think, is Stephen had said earlier, 22,000, almost 22,000.
And I think that was just one precinct in.
Okay.
But if that holds, I can't imagine anything else will be different. But if that holds, it will be very good for Mr. Harding. But I think that was just one precinct. Brookfield has two precincts, and that was just
Yeah,
the
'cause
first
it's
one.
Split.
Right.
But my guess is if he's winning 2-1 on one, he'll be winning 2-1
Yeah.
on the other.
Wow.
So when we get those votes in, it will be very very interesting.
I thought it was interesting also, Stephen said that they had so there's about 22,000 registered voters in Torrington, and almost one third, over 7,000 voters early voted in Torrington. Over 7,000. That's a lot.
Yes,
That's a lot.
that's a lot.
So, and then, like I said, so then you would have thought, okay, today you wouldn't have seen what we came to see at the Armory and at the City Hall and the other polling places in Torrington. So, quite a lot of enthusiasm, which I think is great.
Yes,
And that's what,
and Torrington has treated the Republican Party very well. So over the years, so I'm hoping that continues.
so different over the 45 years that I've been involved here and been in Torrington or in the Torrington area, that it started off, I think when we came in the late 70s, it was Mike Conway.
Yeah,
And
wow,
right,
yeah, that
right.
goes
So
back.
yeah, it was Mike Conway as a Democrat, and then I don't know who was after. Was it Dee after that? I think it was. Then I think it was Dee Dunny. So you had 10
And she
years
had-
of
she
Dee,
had 10 years.
right? And then you had Mary Jane Grenick, because Mary Jane was the town chairman at that time. But,
Yes.
And they had no candidate. So it was the same thing, like you said. Watch out when you become a placeholder. You became the regular candidate, and she won. So we had Mary Jane. Then I think Owen was next.
Yeah, Owen came in.
And then Owen. And then after Owen was
Ryan-
there, Owen was two
Ryan-
terms.
Ryan
that
Bingham.
was it. That was it. We
Ryan
haven't
Bingham
had it-
came in.
Right.
He served, I think, for 4 terms or close to it.
So.
And then Eleanor Carbone was elected after that,
82 to 92.
and I think she's in her 3rd term. So
I think it's got to be close to 30 years that since we've had a Democratic mayor in Torrington.
well,
Yes.
it was 30, maybe. Yeah, well, it's been a long time.
Right. It's been a long time. So, um, as always, as it goes from one cycle to the next, we'll finish this up. And
Yes.
we were already chatting at the polls about the upcoming municipal election in Torrington and who might run or not run. And I know we've had some talk in Litchfield and in Goshen. So it's on everyone's mind, those of us that live and breathe this.
Yes, this is true.
24/7.
And you and I have been doing it a
Yeah,
very long time.
I know, John. Probably close to 100 years between us. Wow.
Well, probably. I've
So,
been active since
yeah.
1976.
Yeah, so I'm
You can do the
79,
you can do the math,
yeah,
and it's a lot of years. Put it
It's a
that
lot
way.
of years. So we'll see. Well, one or the other of us will be enjoying the inauguration in January, I think. So we'll see. Have you ever gone?
No, I have not.
Oh my gosh, it's a lot of fun. It's great. Haven't gone. Let's see. When did we went for Obama in 2000? Let's see. That was in 2008. That was Obama, right?
Yes.
And then I think we went again. Yeah, we went in 2012. So it's been more than 10 years because then it was Trump in 2016 and Biden. They canceled. They canceled it because it was COVID.
Correct.
Right. So it's been more than 10 or 12 years since last time we went to an inauguration. So I'm all excited.
It will be interesting to see what
we'll
happens.
see. Hopefully, we'll see. So it's just going to come down to those swing states. John Stewart had a funny thing. He said that whoever was going to be president of it, he combined all the swing states into one long name state. And I said, yeah, that's about that's what they did. And yet, we've never had this before where you had someone nominated who did not go through any of the primary process or anything, and it was a very compacted short period of time.
The first time in history that's happened. It's not the first time in history that an incumbent has been denied his party's nomination, but you have to go back a very long time to see the last president who was denied his party's nomination.
Who was that? I don't know.
I think it might have been Franklin Pierce.
Okay.
But there could have been someone else. I know Andrew Johnson. I don't know if he even tried to get nominated in 1868 because that was the year U.S. Grant was nominated. And interestingly, Johnson was impeached during that election year,
right,
and survived by one vote. But other than that, I can't,
No, you had a short period when Lyndon Johnson in 1968 decided, I think it was in March or so.
I think it was March 31st,
Right.
1968.
Right.
He made the
I remember
decision
that,
to not run, but he wasn't denied the nomination of
No,
his
he
party.
just decided.
After what happened in New Hampshire that year, he won the New Hampshire Democrat primary 60-40, but for a sitting incumbent to only get 60%, and Eugene McCarthy got 40% that primary, and that pretty much he decided to not run, and then Bobby Kennedy jumped in the race, and sadly he was killed after winning the California primary,
Right.
and Hubert
months later.
Humphrey, the
Right.
vice president at that time, ended up the nominee, and came within a whisker of being elected. But one of the challenges, most vice presidents do not have good luck trying to succeed the sitting president, and only 4 have done it. And it's generally, if you take a look at again, a little history, Martin Van Buren was Andrew Jackson's vice president. Andrew Jackson was incredibly popular, and Van Buren represented a 3rd Jackson term. And so he was easily elected president. Unfortunately, there was an economic recession. He did not respond well to it, so he became a 1-term president. The next one was George H.W. Bush,
Yeah.
who also succeeded
Ronald Reagan.
Ronald Reagan.
Right.
He represented Reagan's third term.
Right.
People wanted a third
That's
term.
right.
He won. And there also was a recession during Bush's presidency, and it cost him re-election when Bill Clinton, who's basically ran It's the Economy Stupid, and was able to beat Bush in 1992.
And I think by that point, after, as you're saying, it's almost a 12-year span of the same. People wanted a change. Bill Clinton came off young, energetic. Hillary it was a new time then, and CNN has a great show. I watched it. I think last week we watched it on James Carville, and they had the whole. And I always say to everyone, you're only as good as the people that you surround yourself with. And James Carville kind of came up from nowhere and into Bill Clinton's campaign and kept him very disciplined, focused on the issues, and he was able. People just wanted a change, and that's where this election tonight, or the results tonight, will be. Do people want to change in a new first woman of color elected president, or do they want to, I hate to use the term, go back to what we had 4 years ago?
Well,
I don't know.
What we had 4 years ago was pretty good. Low inflation, no wars, and a secure border. So it's interesting. I think the Harris campaign has spent a lot of time trying to pretend she wasn't in power for the last 4 years. We'll see if that works. But again, the biggest issue is the economy. So we're going to find out if people feel that they want to continue the economic policies that we've had for the last 4 years. So very interesting, as it was back when Grover Cleveland recaptured the presidency after one term off. Mm-hmm. So we'll see what happens.
But there are a lot of other issues. I mean, the change in the Supreme Court, the overturning Roe versus Wade. I mean, I teach law and public health. Many women throughout the country are very energized, galvanized, and are very concerned, as they should be, about protection of their reproductive rights. So that may be a factor as well. And I mean, we all know, well, who said the vice presidency wasn't worth, a bucket of spit? Is that what whoever said that? The vice president doesn't have any control over what President Biden did or didn't do. She was part of the administration, but she wasn't the leader. She was in her position as vice president.
Well, Joe Biden said that she was involved in every decision. They did it all together.
Oh.
And he has done everything to tie her to him. And so it'll be very interesting to see what the American people do. But Joe Biden has done everything to basically say we did it together. Every decision was done together. Our policies were done together. And when they needed a tie-breaking vote, she was always a reliable tie-breaking vote for any Biden policy
that
came in.
Right? That was
representing
her party.
Well,
our party.
Well, she owns it. I mean, so we'll see what the American people think.
I think she's run a wonderful, an extraordinary campaign. She's 10 years younger than I am, and I'm like, I don't think I had that energy.
I can tell you,
61. Never mind, 70. Almost 71 now. So
I can tell you, President Trump has been unbelievably energetic.
And really, right. For 78,
he's doing 4 rallies, yesterday. Doing it every day, and the traveling and everything that he's done, the energy level of that man is incredible. So he's, he's the Energizer bunny, so to speak.
Yeah, and she is as well. So they really it was very unfortunate. I feel what happened with President Biden. I first met President Biden in the '90s, and he was a young senator then, and he was in Washington. We met him on the street, talked to him, met him a number of times since then. But it just, the aging is very relentless for all of us, and Father Time just takes its mark. And
well, that was pretty obvious.
Yeah, it was unfortunate.
And a lot of people knew about it and waited to the end. So let's see what we have. Who is this from?
And again, if anyone would like to call in, 860-361-9985. Again, 860-361-9985. Please give us a call. Say hello. Let us know what's happening in your area. We'd love to hear from you. So, let's
Well, I
see
have
if we
some numbers. I just don't know the town. Someone just
Okay.
texted me some numbers. I think it has to be a town up north because they're very good for you guys.
I mean, we knew Senator Murphy, I think, pretty much was gonna. That was a given. I feel pretty confident about Congresswoman Hayes too. I think.
Well, we
she's gonna,
do have results
Yeah.
from Cornwall.
Okay, Cornwall, great.
Harris 722, Trump 279.
I'm not surprised. How much? 229?
Yeah, 279.
279?
Murphy 720 to 271. Hayes 711. Logan 289.
Yep.
In the 30th district, which is the one we're really paying attention
Uh-huh.
to, Potter 696.
Good.
Harding 286.
Wow. See, this is it's very interesting. I've been here doing this for 45 years. I'm the longest serving woman on the state committee now. And the change in the district over let's see, I've been doing this since 2002. So in 20, however many years, it was really, really interesting because when I ran in the 64th in Nicholas was born 1982. In 1984. And at that time, all those towns, I'm talking the towns more in I say there's two parts of the district, the Route 7 corridor and the Route 8 corridor. And that Route 7 corridor, it was almost a reverse. You had Torrington, Winstead, were more Democrat, and then the Route 7 corridor was from Kent, Sharon, Salisbury, or it was more Republican. And after 9/11, that's really when the change started, and now it was phenomenally accelerated. I mean, look at those numbers. I mean, they're what?
Well,
more than 3-1.
Well, if you go back to 2020, it's very comparable. The Democrat candidate, I'm just figuring it up now.
Yeah. Okay.
At 682.
Okay.
So just a few votes more, and we got a few votes less.
So it's very, very interesting to see how deeply blue that Route 7 corridor from Kent to Salisbury, and then down Canaan, Cornwall, and even like in Warren, we have a new town chairman there, Howard Ramos-Polkin, and he's phenomenal. They had an event. I don't know. There was 60 people there, 50, 60 people there at least, and that was basically, there was one person, Robin, who was the chairman, the vice chairman, the secretary, and the treasurer of the Warren Democratic Town Committee for a couple of years recently. And then I would say, I don't know how long Howard's taken over, maybe a year, and has done a phenomenal job in bringing Democrats together, bringing them forward, GOTV, and that's what you need.
Well, we'll see how Warren does tonight.
Yeah,
but,
it'll be very interesting to see.
I can tell you, in looking at the 30th district, the tough towns for Republicans: Sharon, Salisbury, Kent, Cornwall, and Falls Village. We know we're not going to do well there. It's some of these towns are 2, 3, 4 to 1 Democrat over Republican registration. So the numbers from Cornwall, not a surprise. Potter did a little better than Senator Minor did, and Steve Harding did a little worse, but not by much, and not enough to change what's probably going to happen here. So, Potter got another 14 votes, and Steve got probably 20 votes less. So, it was to be expected. And Cornwall's one of those towns. It's 2, 3 to 1. Ours over D's. So,
And I still say New Milford is key.
New Milford, Brookfield, Nassau.
Yeah.
Where we stop, the bleeding is Goshen, Torrington, Winstead.
Yeah.
Litchfield is a little more purple than it used to be, but then you bring in Morris and Bethlehem and Brookfield, New Milford, New Fairfield is very pro-Republican.
That's right.
So we make up a lot of votes in those towns. So we'll see as the night goes on.
Yes. So again, if you have any results or any comments, it's 860-361-9985. Again, 860-361-9985. I think one of the reasons that we're not getting any results is because of the lengthy. I just don't think the polls have closed.
That could be the case, but it does take a good half hour to 45
Right.
minutes to get
Tally
those
the
numbers,
vote, right?
and then having folks call it in. So we've gotten partial votes. The other thing I wanted, while I'm here, let me bring that up again. In the 64th district, Maria Horn 733, and Barbara Brior 275.
Where was that?
Cornwall.
Oh, in Cornwall.
Yeah. So in the
that would
64th,
be right along.
yes, that's so in looking at this thing, it looks like Maria Horn is the top vote getter in Cornwall. So, okay. Let's see what we
Oh,
have.
that's interesting. In Florida, they had two really big amendments going on in Florida. One was this Amendment 3 for the legalization of recreational marijuana, and that failed. And the other one was I don't know if it's a cancellation of the 6-week abortion ban. So that one they don't have that one yet. The abortion reproductive rights were on 10 ballots throughout the country. So remain to be seen how that works out. Wow. So it was interesting because when we were down there, we thought probably that both those amendments in Florida were going to pass, the overturning of the 6-week abortion ban and the legalization of recreational marijuana, but I guess not. So interesting.
That's very interesting that they would vote no on that.
Yes.
But good for them. That's what makes them. That's what makes democracy so good. You let the people decide stuff.
That's it.
And so I am a little surprised that that failed in
Wow.
the state of Florida. So anyway, we shall see. So far we've gotten results from Cornwall, partial results from Brookfield, and as Audrey said, if you have some numbers, give us a call and see what.
Especially if anybody's, obviously here in Torrington, if you have any even preliminary results from any of the polling places, we'd be really interested to, pass that along. Litchfield, the same. I think Litchfield has 3 polling places. They have the Bantam Firehouse, the Litchfield Firehouse, and yes, because in the Litchfield Firehouse, Litchfield and I believe East Litchfield vote at the Litchfield Firehouse, and then in Northfield. So there's 3 polling places in Litchfield. So, and we used to have 2 polling districts in Goshen, and this last every 10 years they do a redistricting, and they were able to combine. I think half of Goshen was the 64th and half was the 63rd.
Yeah, it's very interesting
Right.
how they redistricted, and the first election under the new districting lines was 2022. So what happened in the 64th district? They removed Torrington, added the half of Goshen, and then gave them Washington, essentially making that district a little more Democrat. The Republican votes gained, that we picked up in Goshen, we lost in Washington. The 63rd district ended up getting a little bit more of Torrington. They kept Winsted and Colebrook, and the 65th district was expanded a little bit. And that district, I believe, was made a little more Republican. On the state Senate side, they took a slice of Washington, a slice of Bethlehem, half of New Fairfield, and added it to the 30th, and then the town of Sherman was added to the 30th, and they took a slice of Brookfield and moved that into the 32nd. So the 30th district now covers 18 towns, more than 10%
More than 10% of the towns.
of the towns in the state of Connecticut.
169 towns in the state.
It is the
Isn't that
largest.
amazing?
Yes,
Yeah.
it is the largest district, state Senate district geographically, and it makes Steve's job very challenging because he's got to be moving across those 18 towns, and it goes from Brookfield to the Mass border.
Right.
That it takes quite a while to get from the top of the 30th to the bottom of the
It sure
30th.
does. It sure does. If anybody's ever driven up and down that Route 7
and
or
it's-
tried to come across to.
And it's Route 7 from
Right.
beginning to
That's
end.
right.
Cuts right over
That's right.
the 30th district. So
And it's so diverse. I don't think the general population would understand first of all, as I said, the somewhat of the flip over the last 20, 25 years from Torrington, Winsted, Thomaston. I mean, back in the day, B. Fuller. There was a Democratic state representative there in Thomaston, Marie Galbraith. They're so different today, and the reverse of that in the Route 7 corridor. So you have to, when you have a very divergent, and you're not talking. I mean, at least in what I view as somewhat kind of middle of the road, moderate on both sides. I mean, you have strong R and strong D in those 2 corridors. And as it overflows, as you said, into Cornwall and then on the other side, Goshen. So it's very challenging as an elected official to be able to easily and satisfactorily represent that whole district. And I think the bear hunting is a prime example of that.
now that's a very
Prime example.
very interesting issue. I was up recently in the state of New Hampshire, and we were doing a wildlife scenic, bus tour, and our driver happened to be had worked for the New Hampshire Wildlife Division. He knows all about Connecticut's bear issues. He knew about the situation in Morris where that boy
That
was
boy almost
mauled.
got eaten, right?
And New Hampshire has a bear hunting season. And he found out that my wife and I were from Connecticut, and he said, "You've got to tell your elected officials, you've got to have a bear hunting season. It's just gone too far, and that's the only way you're going to be able to manage this population." And it is very interesting that the Democrat first selectman in Cornwall, after a bear attacked and killed some livestock of some folks in Cornwall, that he called for a bear hunting season. And I think it is time to take a look. We need to manage this population. He said they've been doing it very successfully in New Hampshire, and he basically said we need to do it here in Connecticut. And I can tell you, both Representative Reddington Hughes and Senator Harding are certainly willing to do that. I also believe both Barbara Breer and even Representative Horn has said it's time for bear hunting season.
Take a
So
look at
I
it.
hope they take a look at it. It needs to be done, maybe just in a couple of sections of the state. And it has to be well managed. DEP has come out for it. And so I believe that it can be done very well, very managed, and very selective. So I'm hoping that is something that can be done in the next session.
Hey, and I think we have a call. I'm gonna let you.
Okay, where do we?
I think is it? Well, let's see. Is it? Oh, did I disconnect them? That's why I didn't want to do this.
Underneath resume.
What's that, babe?
Underneath resume, the green, there's a button underneath.
Here, come and show us.
Oh, gosh.
Hit the, there should be a line without that.
Sorry, viewers. Yeah.
Hit the red button. Hit the button with, yeah. And then just talk.
Hello?
Oh, resume.
Yeah, resume.
Oh.
Hello?
Hi, this is Christian Allen from North Canaan.
Hi, Christian. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Oh, very good. Very good. Good. Give us results.
Okay. How would you like them? Would you like us to split them up between the parties or just the total per candidate?
No, so
Total.
go start with the presidential and go all down the line. DR or
Okay.
RD, whatever you prefer.
Okay, so Harrison Waltz received 666 votes. Trump and Vance received 726 votes.
Wow.
This is the first time that a Republican has won the presidential in North Canaan since 1996. But it's an even split between Republicans and Democrats as far as winning, so we'll get there. Stein and Ware was 3. Oliver and Matt was 3. Kennedy Jr. and Shanahan was 9. And then 2 write-in votes.
Okay.
Moving on to Senate, 698 for Chris Murphy and 642 for Matthew Corey. So Chris Murphy won North Canaan. 5 for Justin Paglino and 9 for Robert Finley Hyde. And then moving on to Congress, 681 for Johanna Hayes and 675 for George Logan. So Johanna won North Canaan. Then moving on to State Senate, 623 for Justin Potter and 700 for Stephen Harding. So Stephen Harding won North Canaan. 600. Moving on to State Representative, 679 for Maria Horn, 664 for Barbara Breor. So Maria Horn won North Canaan. And then Registrar of Voters, those totals don't particularly matter, but 568 for Patricia Kilty, Democrat, and 754 for Rosemary Kilty, Republican. So they're both elected.
Wow. So you're saying that Trump won, President Trump won, former President Trump won North Canaan, and that's the
Yes.
first time a Republican presidential candidate has won in North Canaan since when?
1996.
And that was 1996. What was that, John?
28 years ago.
Well, that was Bob Dole.
That was Clinton, second Clinton
Yes,
term.
yes.
Right, second Clinton term. Really?
Right. And it's interesting because if you followed the other totals, it appears that at least 26 Republican voters only came in to vote for Trump, approximately. The split between Patricia and Rosemary is kind of a just local, sort of thing.
Right.
But I see it as people. There were some people in North Canaan that came in just to vote for Trump and leave.
Wow.
So
And how did you
That
do?
will play out that way elsewhere.
Wow. How did you do on the early voting?
We had over 600. No, I misread that. About 600 early voters, and the total of people who voted was 1,557 voters, which is a 66% turnout.
That was 66% turnout. Okay. And was there? Did
And
you have long lines today or no?
No, it wasn't that way. It was steady. So the early voting definitely cut down on the lines because I can remember in 2020 the lines were out the town hall. So that definitely helped. And I have the vote on the ballot question as well.
Oh, did it pass?
It passed, yep. So 555 yes, 491 no, and 373 blank.
Wow. Blank. Okay. Wow. See, and we were talking earlier about the length of time for the early voting. Well, actually, I was chatting with Todd before the selectmen meeting today, and my understanding is that if this amendment passes, and maybe you would know more, John, on this as well, that if you have no excuse absentee ballot voting, that may shorten the time of early voting because you won't need to have all that time for early voting, although I really liked it. I voted on October 21st. I thought it was great because you'd be able to just request an absentee ballot. You don't even have to go. Request it online, I believe, and fill it out, send it in, and that's it. So I guess we'll have to see.
Now, on that vote for Steve Harding, did that include the independent line?
Yes, so the independent line for Steve Harding was 20, and the Republican line was 678. And if you do the math, it doesn't work out. They did not announce unknowns. I presume that the difference was unknowns.
All right, but his vote total was 700?
Correct.
Okay.
How does that compare to last time?
Well, if we go back to the presidential election of 2020, the interesting thing is the voter turnout is down quite a bit.
Today?
So
Today?
today, down.
Really?
In 2020, 1,613 people voted in North Canaan, and today 1,323 did, if I did the math right. So that's quite interesting.
Wow.
Well, it says they announced that 1,557 voted. There was some ballots, like I said, that were for presidential that were just one person. They did say that. And
That
based on
still
the
is.
totals, I assume those were Trump ballots.
Yeah, well, the other thing, it was still down from 1613.
Huh.
So that's
Yeah.
interesting. So
Yeah.
you had more people voting 4 years ago in the presidential than you did today, even though it's not by much, based on what you're saying.
And how were those state senate votes then? Was that Craig then?
Yeah, the state senate vote was 978 for Craig, and let's see, and for the Democrat candidate it was 613.
All right, so it's down for Harding just because less people were voting.
Correct.
Wow.
All right, so that's interesting.
Interesting.
And it was slightly up for Justin. But this is notable, too, because this is the first time that Maria has ever won Canaan.
North
or
Canaan.
North Canaan.
Right. Really?
Yeah, so her perception in North Canaan has grown to be very positive.
That's
And I
great.
think in earlier elections, it was a personality issue between her and her former opponent, Brian Oler, who's now first selectman. But now that Brian Oler and Maria Horn have worked together on a number
course.
of issues,
Right.
it seems that her perception has gotten much better.
For the benefit of the town, and it's a very good point that you raised, Christian, because I know myself, having served on the Board of Selectmen for 10 years back in the day in Litchfield, especially on the local level, and even as you get into state rep, state senate, and even on the constitutional officers and the governor, once you're elected, particularly in a small state like Connecticut, you're there to serve the people, irrespective of your party line. So I thought that was a very good point that you brought up, Christian, that even though they had been opponents in the past, now they have to work together for the benefit of the town. And they do.
That's
And they do.
right.
So that's how that goes. So have you heard anything from any of the other towns?
I have not, other than that Torrington ran out of ballots today.
Yeah, Torrington has had a number of issues. They ran out of the what do they call those provisional ballots, the same day vote, people that went in to vote, the same day registration, and then at the Armory, two of the machines. What do you call those, John? You know, the machine where you put the ballot in, broke down. They had an hour and a half wait. When I was there, poll standing at 5 o'clock, it was almost a 2-hour wait in line. The line stretched all the way, as I said, to the Fusenage Park parking lot. I never saw so many people there ever. So that's why we have no results from Torrington. You're the
We do have results just came in for Litchfield.
for Litchfield. Okay,
we can discuss
So we'll
those.
let you go. Thank you, Christian. That was wonderful.
welcome.
Thank you for calling. We'll be in touch.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank
Goodbye.
you. Bye bye. Bye bye.
Now, something else interesting about North Canaan, and that is 2 years ago, Steve Harding got 617 votes. Tonight he got 700. The Democrat candidate got actually got 529, 544. So they both got more votes
Wow.
than last time. So that's interesting.
Very interesting. With less people voting.
Yes.
Yes.
So Litchfield.
Okay. Good.
We have always said Litchfield's purple, and tonight it remains purple. So for the presidential race so far, Harris 2,539 votes, Trump 2,422.
Wow. Really?
Yeah, Murphy 2,570, and Corey 2,368.
Wow.
And Hayes, 2516, Logan, 2492. I think pretty close to what happened last time. So very close, except Steve Harding, who was the number one vote getter 2 years ago, remains that. 2,648 votes
Wow.
to Potter's 2,309.
Wow.
And State Representative Reddington Hughes has now carried Litchfield 2,118 to 2,056.
Okay.
Okay, so very purple. So what's happened here is they've essentially voted for Democrats on the top and Republicans on the bottom. Mm-hmm. But all these numbers are within 100 votes.
Right.
So that is quite interesting. But so we'll see. So just to give you some perspective, 2 years ago, State Representative Reddington Hughes lost the town of Litchfield by about 120 votes,
Running against Matt Dyer.
running against
Yeah.
Matt Dwyer,
Yeah.
and this time she carried it a little under 100, but there's a difference there, a flip of a couple of hundred votes,
Right.
and to have any shot of winning the 66th district, you've got to carry Litchfield by a good margin, and my guess is. We'll see how, as the night progresses, she did very well in Morris, Warren, Bethlehem, and in her hometown of Woodbury. She's always done well.
Well, of course, as her
So-
hometown. But on the other hand, for for a candidate that put their name forward, again, as we talked about, initially as a placeholder, and then stayed in the race, gave it her all to get 2,056 votes. It's pretty good. So is that what Sharon Sherman got?
Well,
Pretty-
2,056.
2,056.
Yeah.
I mean, that's Karen got 2118. Less than.
Yes. The good news for Karen is she's flipped Litchfield back into her corner.
But I always look at it, in politics, sometimes if you don't make it, you lose, but you win. And to me, with Sharon getting over 2,000 votes in Litchfield, that's phenomenal.
Well,
That's
for a
phenomenal.
candidate first time out, she shouldn't feel bad, but
Right.
still you're on the other end of the
Right.
vote, and so.
And Johanna won Litchfield, so that's great.
And I think she won it last time by about the same margin.
Yeah, yeah.
It's very close. All of those other races, many of them are within 100 votes,
I see all
with
this.
the exception of Murphy and Corey. But for Matt Corey being totally unknown,
Bro, to
and
get
I mean that's
well, there's
quite
another one,
remarkable.
2368.
But it does show you that Litchfield is very purple.
Very purple. And honestly, 24-22 for Trump, I never would have thought that.
You thought he would get less than that?
Way less.
Well.
Like half of that.
Again, it's within 100 votes.
That's
It's
what I'm
about
saying.
107, And I
I'm
don't think
surprised.
I don't think he carried Torrington 4 years ago. I mean Litchfield 4 years ago either. Trump.
Oh, Trump.
Yeah,
Okay.
he again. It's been very, very close.
Wow.
So let's just take a look at 2 years ago.
Interesting. Very interesting.
It's the interesting thing here is in Litchfield, Steve Harding 2 years ago got 2,325 votes. This time he got 2,648.
Okay.
His opponent got 1,900. We got to add these other lines. So got over 2,000 votes, and now got 2,309.
See, in just having a generic thought about being on multiple lines, it's unknown, and you're not going to know if Justin could have picked up 100 or 200 more votes. I don't know if it would have been that much on the working families.
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
you know what I'm saying, right? Because I don't know if that 2648, how much of that was on the I line. I don't know.
correct. We don't know.
Yeah, we don't know.
Well,
so,
I can tell you. Steve's opponent 2 years ago had both the independent and working families line, and she picked up an extra 86 votes.
yeah, that's what I said. Even
Yeah.
under vote, right? So
So
interesting.
we have some more results coming in. Let me
Oh,
just.
great.
And I did get word that the numbers from Litchfield, they're still counting some absentee ballots and
Okay,
things like that.
but just an approximation.
But the trend,
right?
there's a trend,
There's a
and I
trend.
don't see that trend changing
Yeah.
much. If it's
I'm
because there can't be too many more votes,
no.
to be counted. But I got to get to these results. They're coming in
Wow.
pretty good. So
Great.
we'll see. Okay. Okay, Norfolk in the 64th district. Oh, dropped my
There's your
stuff.
papers.
Horn 331, Brior 241.
241.
331 to 241.
Okay,
So
not bad.
she did quite well, you know. But still, it doesn't look like she is going to beat Maria Horn.
No,
It sounds like
yeah.
Maria Horn is going to have a very good night.
Yes. I honestly, not unexpected. And again, having it was certainly she was holding her own, but being on 3 lines can't hurt. Although sometimes, like you said, we had that 2 years ago on our state senate line, and it
Yes, you didn't matter.
it didn't matter. So
So we have results from the town of Washington coming in. Let's see. Okay, Harris, 1,430.
okay, so we're doing Washington now.
Town of
Okay.
Washington.
Say it again.
Harris, 1,430. Trump, 738.
Okay.
In the 30th district, Justin Potter, 444. Steve Harding, 269. Chris Murphy, 1,414 votes. Matt Corey, 706. Johanna Hayes, 1,395 votes. And George Logan, 768. And cut off at Maria Horn, but she had 1,407 votes. So my guess is Barbara was probably around 700 or so.
Right. And in the 30th, 444 to 269, lost 1,000 votes.
Well, let's see.
That doesn't make sense.
Well, remember, Washington is only a sliver,
Oh, it's only a slice of it.
a slice of it.
That's right.
And it's not a surprise. We'd have to go back to see what happened
That's right. It's not the entire town.
2 years
It's
ago.
one delegate. There's 3 delegates, I believe 3 delegates in Washington, and we in the 30th have 1. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. I think
So-
Bethlehem the same. I think Bethlehem is 3 and we have 1.
Something like that.
Yep.
All right. So we have a slice of Washington.
Okay.
So Steve got 240 votes 2 years ago to 330 something. So Mr. Potter picked up, Steve picked up 29 votes, and Mr. Potter picked up 100 votes.
Oh.
But that's not to be, that's to be expected. Again, not a big enough difference to erase things. And Washington was not in the 30th district in 2020, so there's really nothing to
Nothing to
to
compare. Correct.
But
It first entered us in 2022.
correct.
Right.
So it'd be interesting again to see 573 people voted in that race 2 years ago, and
More
let's see.
today. Right.
it should be more. We'll
Yeah.
find out.
Yep, more today. And I don't know if the viewers really understand how these our district, meaning us here in the 30th, has changed over the decades, the 4.5 decades plus that we've both been doing this. That I think for the longest time we had 15 towns. Then it went down to 14.
Right, now up to
Now
18.
we went back to, and then we went up to 18 because it has to be proportionate by population, correct?
Correct. There's about 100,000 people in each state senate district.
That's right. And because we've had the, again, post 9/11, and now it'd be interesting to see in 2032 where we end up with the shift in the demographics post-COVID. I mean, just look even at just in Goshen, how many more people live there. I mean, I'm at Woodridge Lake, are there full-time that used to be part-time. So we may see some shifting of those 18 towns again, because I think we're going to be over that 100,000 mark.
It all depends on where the people where the growth is in a district. interestingly enough, there's only 40 more votes in this race from 2 years ago.
Wow.
So that's not a big, that's not a big
No.
increase for a presidential year, which is it's about, 20%.
But look at John. Look at in Litchfield. Harris won by less than 100 votes. 25-39 to 24-22. In Washington, she won 2-1.
That's because
The
Washington
next
is a
town
much more
over.
liberal town. Washington is a strong Democrat town.
It's the next town.
It's a very strong Democrat town. Litchfield is purple, meaning
It
that
still is purple.
I mean,
Yep.
either party can win here. And interestingly enough, Steve Harding, with his 2,648 votes, I believe, is the top vote
Yeah,
getter.
I think you're right. Yep, right. But I think, now Denise Rapp serving her third term now is the right kind of Democrat, if you want to say it like that, for Litchfield. And I think that's why she is doing such a spectacular, fabulous job that she's been doing over the last 5 or 6 years. Your Republican candidate for first selectman didn't even get on the board last time. So it's a real tribute to her to be able to govern so effectively and then look at these numbers, less than 100 votes in a presidential year.
Well, Denise has always done better.
Yeah, Denise
in her
is
race,
terrific, right.
in her races, she's always
And she's able to carry.
had a
and,
stronger performance.
we were saying before when I ran the first time for state representative in 1984, and against Joe Ouellette in the 64th, which is a completely different district now that it's Mayor Horn's district, overwhelmingly Democrat. At that time, overwhelmingly Republican, represented by Joe Ouellette, and I don't want to say former type of Republican. He was a farmer and business person, and represented that 64th district for I don't know, you would know how a long time, but we had the party lever then, so you would just go in and pull the lever, and all these levers went down for the different candidates. But here you're almost seeing the people just not filling the dots.
Well, it's
It's kind of the
interesting.
same.
Top, they go for the Democrat. At the bottom, they go Republican. Steve Harding is the top vote getter. State Senator Steve Harding is the top vote getter in Litchfield tonight, as he was 2 years ago,
Yeah.
at 2,648. So that is, that's good news for him.
Still waiting on New Milford, though. Still waiting on New Milford.
Yes, but the trends are in. It doesn't seem to be much of a change from 2 years ago.
No.
Um,
And Justin was such a terrific candidate, and had a great command of the issues. Being raised here locally, I think part of what we're finding tonight is, it pains me to say this, I really thought that the vice president would be running stronger than. I did not expect this in Litchfield.
Okay, well,
I did not expect this.
40 minutes.
Okay,
40.
thank you. I guess it depends on the town. Like I'm saying, it's such a diverse district, but
well, I can tell you this. Steve Harding grew up in the 30th district. He grew up in Brookfield. He went to Brookfield for the entire
Justin
education,
went to Chapag.
and served on the Board of Education, and served as a state rep, and then became a state senator. So Steve is a very dynamic individual, and he's very entrenched in Brookfield. And Brookfield being, I think it's the second largest town in the district
hard.
is certainly native, and so it does give him a big advantage.
And I think with Justin being chairman of the Kent Affordable Housing Group, or being very active and involved in the housing, the issues surrounding housing, I think are very important. And I think he did a really fabulous job in bringing those issues forward because they're so important. And we're not going to, these small towns are not, it's not going to be easy. It's going to continue to struggle unless we have some housing that people can afford to buy. I mean, you see it in Litchfield, we see it in Goshen. I mean, I'm a real estate lawyer. I mean, the prices for these houses are...
This is true. It is expensive to live here.
Right.
And we do have results from Goshen.
Yay!
So, it looks like in Goshen, Steve Harding, 655, and Justin Potter, 250.
Whoa.
So, Maria Horn, it looks like 275 to 639 for Barbara Breer.
How much?
It looks like 639.
That would be just about the reverse, right?
To it looks like I'm trying.
Yeah.
This is not.
I think there's more votes than that because should be about. There was 700 that voted early, and the 4 or 5. It should be about 1,200.
No, it's two. According to this,
Okay, maybe
It's
presidential
six-
is different.
639 to 275.
Okay.
That's what it looks like. And the same thing. Potter's about 250.
Yeah, so
Steve's at
it's close,
655.
similar.
George Logan 633 to 283.
Oh, really?
So they.
Oh,
As I said, this
Oh.
thing isn't.
jeez. Okay,
So anyway,
go ahead, Harris and Trump. Go ahead.
all right, we got.
Do I want to hear this?
Okay, well, Goshen Republicans worked very hard
Yeah,
to
they did.
deliver
Yeah,
some
but
folks.
we worked hard too.
I
Judy
have to
Armstrong, Cindy
bring this back.
Barrett, Henrietta. We worked hard too.
Okay.
There was more Trump signs, more Harris signs in Woodridge
trying
Lake
to get
than
this-
I was so surprised. And pleasantly surprised.
It looks like it's 1125 for Trump. And again, I got to see.
That would be
And
right.
896 for.
Oh, that's not too
Harris,
bad. That's not too bad.
Which is surprising.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Oh, now I feel good.
Murphy is 904. Corey is at 1100.
Okay. So why do you think it was a drop off after Murphy?
Well, there always is. I mean,
Well,
there's a lot of
yeah.
times people just vote for president.
Yeah.
And then they forget, as you get down on the ballot, the number of votes drops.
Drops
so
off,
by
right.
the time you're down to state rep, some people just vote for president and leave.
Yeah, they were saying in Torrington, they thought that there was a lot of that was happening. They were going in voting president and out. So, but I don't know why they would do president and senator. Maybe because Chris had a lot of TV commercials and everyone.
Well,
knows
when you have
Senator
$9 million, you can do a lot.
No, 11 million.
Well, 11 million, whatever it is. I mean, Matt Corey was outspent probably 20, 30 to 1.
Yeah, a lot, a lot.
And Matt ran as good of a campaign as you could have with the resources he had. and he picked up 1,100 votes out of
No,
Goshen.
well, yeah, he won Goshen, right?
Yeah, so that's a good thing.
So we had, sorry to say, across the board, Democrats had across the board not making it. I'll say that in a
Well, in
nice
Goshen,
way.
but
Hey, Goshen.
Although
Although for Harris did pretty good.
Harris did
Yeah.
very good.
Harris did really
Better than I
good.
would think.
Right. Right. So I'm very, very pleased with that. So, and with Barbara there running against Maria, we that was not unexpected. I really thought Justin maybe would have done better, but I think the Republicans and and you would see it. Really, their team makes a dream, and you would see as you drove around, especially in Goshen, you would drive around and you would see everyone, from Trump to then all the Corey, all down the line, and then here, the Democrats. Not as much. It was better, I think, than sometimes I've seen it in the past. But they really stuck together as a team, and I think that makes a difference in the votes.
Well, both sides stick together. We stick together as a team, and
Yeah,
but it is.
I know. But look at the difference in when you go from Harris to even to
yes.
Maria, right? I
Yeah.
mean,
So in any event, it does look like the votes are kind of going the way we would anticipate. I don't think there's been any real surprises, but I would be it's going to be interesting if we can get that Torrington vote.
I know. If anyone is there, knows anything about Torrington, please give us a call. Let me give you the number again, because it's well after 9 now. It's almost 9:30. We only got another half an hour. 860-361-9985. If you're in Torrington, you're at the polls, or you were down there, you could give us a call, give us some update. We'd really appreciate it. Also, I know it's not in the viewing area, but if anyone is listening and knows anything about Harrington, anything going on in the 8th with Paul Honig's race, we'd really like to hear about that. Like to hear about Salisbury, Sharon, and Kent. We still got, with 18 towns, we got a lot of towns to go through. I think it's going to be a long night for the reporters as well. So
Well, right now, Donald Trump is at 178 electoral votes, and Vice President Harris is at 99. They've called a number of states. I had the map up here. And again, North Carolina, Georgia, Wisconsin.
Donald Trump?
They're still
Too close to call.
too close to call. But for example, Vice President Harris has picked up Vermont, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, New Jersey, Delaware, and Maryland. No surprise there.
No surprise. Okay.
And President Trump, North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, Wyoming, Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, South Carolina, Florida, Kentucky, Iowa, Ohio, and Indiana have been called for Trump. So we got a long way to go.
Yeah, a long way to go.
And essentially all the battleground states are still have not been
Too close to call.
have not been called yet.
And so that Iowa poll was, forget it, because they called it for Trump when they said that Harris was ahead by 3 points, or Sunday.
Well, we'll see. I'm trying to think.
Take a call?
West Virginia, sure.
Okay. Go ahead, John.
Hello.
I think resume. Hello?
Hey, Audrey.
Who's this?
It's Judy Armstrong.
Hey, Judy. We were just talking about Goshen.
No, I don't know. Goshen's not in yet. I
We
was a
have some
stringer
numbers.
in Cornwall.
Cornwall. Do we have Cornwall?
Yeah, we have Cornwall.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Do you
What-
want the? Do you have him?
Yeah, we got
Do
some
have
Cornwall, but you can.
Tell us again, Judy. Go ahead.
No, I called it into the AP already. So you have it.
No.
No. Give it to us again.
All right. Kamala Harris 722.
Go ahead.
Donald Trump 279.
Wow. Okay.
Jill Stein 11. Chase Oliver 3.
Mhm.
Robert Kennedy 4.
Okay. Okay.
Chris Murphy, Dem, 684. Chris Murphy, Working Family, 23. And 13 unknown. And that total comes to 720 for Chris Murphy.
Okay.
Matthew Corey, 271.
Okay.
Dustin Paglino, 13. And Robert Finley Hyde, 1.
Okay.
Johanna. You ready?
Go ahead. Yep.
Six for Dem. Johanna 665. Working Family 29. And Unknown 17. That's a total of 711.
Okay.
George Logan 289.
Okay.
Absentee voting, yes, 578. No, 251.
Good. Good.
Goshen went the other way in absentee. I did hear that.
Oh, really? Did we have that, John?
No, not
The
on the
ballot
absentee.
question? No. Okay.
No, I just know that because Paul let Cindy know that.
Okay. Okay.
But they're still counting in Goshen. We were out there from 9 o'clock till 2 o'clock, and we heard that there were over 800 people came between those hours in Goshen.
Wow. I must have just missed you because we came by like around 2:10,
And
no.
we just left before that.
Yeah, I must have just left because nobody was there. There wasn't one car. I was telling John there wasn't one car that went into the parking lot. So I thought,
Where
well,
were you?
So
Where'd you,
where are we now? On Cable
you,
5.
you didn't go to Camp Koch?
Yeah, I went to Camp Koch.
Okay,
Yes.
I'm on
But,
TV.
but,
Can you text
Wendy
me?
Costa was there. We left two people sitting
Thanks.
there with all the signs.
Nope, there was nothing there when I went there at like 2:10.
Okay.
That's when I was there. So,
So here are the rest. Justin
Okay.
Potter,
yep.
696. Steve Harding, GOP 280. 3 IP and 3 unknown. That
Okay.
gives him 286.
6. Okay.
To 696. That's pretty good.
Yeah, 696. Excellent.
For Justin, yeah. Okay, Maria Horn, a Dem, 675. Maria Horn, IP, 15. Maria Horn, WF, 25. Total of 723. Oh, because there were 18 unknowns. Total of
Okay.
723 for Maria.
Okay.
Barbara Brer, 275.
And Judy, what are those votes unknown? Were they write-in?
What's her name? Jane Ridgway was explaining it, and somebody else was talking to me. I didn't really focus on it. I'm not sure.
Okay. Because I think there was only so many lines, and then perhaps, like you said, they wrote them in, or they didn't want to identify with a particular party. So for that reason, what would you say, John, with that? Where people were they were tallied as unknown.
I'm not really sure what that means.
Right, I'm not either.
That's an odd one. I haven't
Other
heard
than,
of that.
as I said, it could be a write-in.
It could be.
I
And-
think it's probably a write-in, and people don't want to be identified with any party.
Well, they
You know what? I think that's what she said.
Right.
yeah, write-ins don't count if you haven't registered. So if you write someone's name in and they're not a registered write-in candidate, they don't count that vote.
Oh. But how about if they are a candidate? And then
Then
their
they are
name is
counted.
written in, then
And
I
then
think
they're
it would be
counted.
counted.
Yeah,
right.
but you have to
okay.
be,
you have
you
to
have-
be on the ballot.
You have to be a registered write-in candidate with
right.
the Secretary of State's office.
Okay.
Yeah.
Only
Yeah,
those
but
are
you
counted.
there wouldn't be a place to circle it. I just,
Well, there's
fill it
there's
in.
a somewhere there's got to be a place where you can write in something. There's
I
got to
don't
be
know.
a
I
blank.
don't remember on the ballot.
Oh,
Looking.
wait, I have a ballot right here.
Yeah.
Let me look.
Interesting.
Anyway, we look like we have some results out of New Milford.
Okay, hold on. Let me finish with where the
How
writing
did
is.
Justin do in New Milford?
Well,
All right, go ahead.
Harding, 7,084. Potter, 35,
Oh gosh.
39.
Shoot.
Oh gosh.
Wow.
More than 2 to 1.
Yes.
Oh wow. How about president?
Well, let me see.
Oh gosh.
I don't know if I have that. I don't think
Oh,
they sent me
gosh.
president.
Wow.
They did not send me
All
presidents.
right. I would imagine it's relatively close.
The sample ballot that I have at the very bottom has write-in vote.
Oh, okay. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
So as anticipated, Senator Harding doing extremely well in
yeah.
New Milford, and that's why this district's so hard for a Democrat to win, because New Milford and Brookfield represent not quite 50% of the district, and if you win 2 to 1 down there, you're going to have a very good night.
That's it.
And that
yeah.
that
That's
does
it.
offset
We don't have the population up here to carry it.
that.
No,
Yes,
that's
so
correct.
The upper part of the district, which is much more Democrat, as you said, there's just not enough population, so we're able to offset the losses on the top of the district at the bottom of the district.
And it's unfortunately, I don't see that it's ever really going to change, because you have New Milford, which is a large, and Brookfield as well, more commercial population area, and then you have your small rural towns of 3,000 or 4,000 people. It's not going to change. And and even if you wanted it to change, it's not going to change. And you don't have the infrastructure, the water, sewer that are going to promote growth and development, and you have zoning that is not going to promote growth and development anyway. So it's not going to happen.
Well, I think the median price in the town of Salisbury for a house is 500,000
Right.
plus.
Look at
That's tough.
Woodridge Lake, John, where again, I've been a real estate lawyer for 45 years, for decades. Most of those houses, they couldn't give them away in the low 200s. What's the starting price in Woodridge Lake now, Judy? Oh, same
I
thing,
would say-
$500,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, $500,000.
A fixer-upper would be under 5.
Right, a fixer-upper that no one's lived in, that someone's owned for 40 years. And it's got to be completely gutted and redone. Right. So, and we were talking about that, and I was saying with Justin, had such a strong background, not only, being born and raised in the district, having gone to Chapag, but having, being the chairperson of the Kent Housing Authority, and having such a good command and knowledge and passion for those housing issues. But
Well, I just got word
There
from
you go.
New Milford that for Justin Potter was they made a typo. He only got 2,539 votes. So it's 7,084 to 2,539.
oh no, really?
Yeah. So Steve, this is interesting, because Steve got almost 900 votes more in New Milford this time than last time, and the Democratic opponent got a lot less. So that's quite interesting.
Wow.
Very interesting.
And he worked so hard. He was such a great candidate.
Door knocking in New Milford.
Right.
That's the same.
Wow.
I'm gonna get off, guys.
All right, Judy. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
All righty.
All right.
Let's just
Have a
hope-
good evening. Thank
Let's
you.
hope we're celebrating tomorrow.
I hope
okay?
so. Thank you, dear. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Wow.
So anyway, it does
Yes,
look like
so
Steve Harding is on his
anyway.
on his way to re-election. It'll be interesting when we get the other votes. But my guess is
why
there's
do you think this is in New Milford?
it's very close to Brookfield, and Steve is very popular.
We had a Democratic mayor there.
Well, when you have a Democratic mayor,
Grombeck, right, David Grombeck.
and he did a very bad job, and they voted him out as soon as they could, and that's happened twice in New Milford. So, Steve is very well liked, very well known. Brookfield and New Milford kind of go together.
Kinda go together.
The other thing, I just don't think Mr. Potter was that known. That hurts you in politics. And some of his mailings, I think, you couldn't tell whether he was running for president or running for the state senate. And, he really hammered on the Trump thing, which I think was a mistake.
Yeah.
And he didn't really tell us why we needed to make a change. And trying to bring national politics to a state office tends not to work.
Tends not to work, especially out here.
And
I agree. I agree.
It was very confusing on what office he really wanted, and so what he tried to do to Steve in some of those mailings just didn't work.
Well, and I think to your point, John. I mean, just look at these Litchfield votes. I mean, Trump losing by less than 100 votes in what is currently now Democratic town, Democratic boards across, national issues not really having an impact on who they're voting for president. The Democratic national issues not really having an impact that you thought they would.
And we just got word from New Fairfield. Steve Harding, 1,870 votes to Potter's 1,375.
Oh, that's pretty good.
So not a bad showing for Potter, but Steve carries New Fairfield. And we basically have half of New Fairfield.
Is that what we have? Oh, we have another call? Oh, thank you.
Hello?
Oh, I think you disconnected him. Uh-oh.
Oh,
Oh, sorry. Sorry, call back, please. We're trying. There we go.
are they calling back?
I think it's Marianne, yeah. No, just hit this now. There you go. Hello?
No, not yet. Wait. She's not on hold yet. Not yet.
Oh, not yet?
Okay.
Okay, now go for it. Yep.
So resume. Hello?
Hi, it's Marianne.
Hi, Marianne. What's happening?
Do you need any totals from Goshen?
Yeah, we could do them
Yeah,
again. I
go
heard there
ahead.
was some, they were still counting on some
Go
of the.
ahead.
No, we're done.
All right, good. Give us the totals.
So what do you want first?
We'll start president. Go right down the line.
Okay, so Harris Walsh, 896.
Okay? That's it.
Trump Vance, 1125.
Okay.
Stein Ware, 18. Oliver Matt, 13. Kennedy Shanahan, 4.
Okay. Next.
Murphy Dem, 863.
How much?
863.
863. Okay, I didn't have that. Go ahead.
Murphy Working Families, 36.
Oh.
Matthew Corey, 1100.
Okay.
Justin Paglino, 10. Robert Finn Hyde, 14.
Okay.
Hayes Dem, 855. Hayes, Working Family 3. George Logan 1151.
1151. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So
Stephen
Johanna did not make it. Okay, in Goshen. All right.
Yeah, no. Justin Potter 797. Harding Republican 1188.
Wow.
Harding Independent 28.
Okay.
Maria Horn Democrat 804. Maria Horn Working Families 22. Maria Horn Independent 19. Robert Brayer 1185.
Wow. Okay.
And the question was yes 833 and no 890.
Wow. Why do you think the question lost?
Because I think people are afraid to give too much power to paper,
Uh-huh.
and they want to, so if you say it's any excuse, now you're allowing people to come in and vote for any reason,
Interesting.
and I don't think they're happy with that.
Interesting. Well, I'll have
Yeah.
to wait and see. The vote's pretty...
Especially with the early voting. I mean, with the early voting, people said to themselves, well, why don't we just do early voting? That was cool.
Or I think
Why do we need to all do,
Or the reverse
One or
of
the
that's
other.
going to be, let's have more no excuse absentee ballots so that we can maybe have a shorter time of the early voting.
So
But
we'll see.
we'll see.
but
Well, we have another call, so this was wonderful.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Marianne. Be in touch.
You're very welcome.
Thank you, dear.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Okay, so we got this and this. Hello. Hi, Paul.
Hello there.
How are you?
Groovy, you?
Good, good. Listen, we were just talking to Marianne. So you are talking Goshen as well?
I'm sorry?
You're talking,
but
you got Goshen results?
I do?
Yes,
I-
well, we have them.
I did text them to you.
Yes, and we have them. And what I was just saying to Marianne was the absentee ballot question lost in Goshen.
Yes.
What's your thoughts on that?
The Republican Party made a big push to make them know.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I did not know that. Did you know that?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, we weren't in for it for the same reasons you said. We're concerned about giving the legislature a blank check to do stuff that
Interesting.
and we have early voting, so it's really not needed.
See, and I didn't really think of that as a partisan issue. I thought it was more of an accessibility issue for voting. I didn't realize there was that partisan take to it. And it being Connecticut, if it is that partisan take with the cities dominating, probably is going to pass. I would think it's probably going to pass. So it's very interesting, Paul, that I will say, and let's see if you agree with this, John, in Goshen, Harris did a lot better than in some of these other towns in the proportionate, in the distribution. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, she did a little better than I thought she would. But you look at Senator Harding, 1,216 votes. That's pretty strong
Oh, yeah.
coming out of the town of Goshen. So that certainly helps him.
Yeah, he was the strongest. He was definitely the strongest one in Goshen. There's
And
no doubt
the
about
interesting thing is he was the largest vote getter in Litchfield, too. So
Right.
it shows that he has a little bit of strength up here.
Right. And Barbara did, without saying, Barbara did very well in Goshen as well. Was she the second highest vote getter?
it. Yeah, but it's pretty. It's pretty typical Barbara, though. I mean, that's around her number. Now, Mr. Trump did a little better than her.
Yes. Trump did a little bit better. And in Litchfield, Trump came within 100 votes of taking Litchfield. It was these are unofficial, but 25-39 for Harris and 24-22 for Trump.
Wow.
Yeah. I did not expect that at all. Versus,
No.
what we had in Goshen here, 11-25 for Trump, which you would expect is Goshen, but 8-96 for Harris.
Yeah.
I mean,
And then they
yeah,
had,
it was
they-
pretty
it-
good.
those numbers did change just a little bit because
Okay.
they had some hand count.
And there's some hand
Another-
count in there, but in the general,
Yeah.
I mean, if you're looking
know.
at Harris got around 8-9. Let's say Harris got around 900 votes, and
Right.
then Justin Potter got 250, and they're on the same line. So what is that?
Potter
Am I
got-
right?
Yeah.
Potter got, but no, Potter got 797.
Oh, I was reading this wrong. Who got the 250? All right.
That's from another.
Yep,
Oh, okay.
that's
Oh,
someplace else.
wrong votes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, Potter got 800 votes, and
Oh,
and
that was
Hardy
good.
got
All right.
1,200.
And then how many did Maria get?
Maria got 865 was Maria's final total.
Okay. So they,
And
so they
got
held their
11,
own.
and Barbara ended up with 1134.
Right. So the Democrats did, I would say overall in Goshen, they did
okay.
pretty good.
Well, the
right.
win, the win in that.
We're not slackers.
No, they're pretty good.
Yep.
Well, that's what I said. I had said earlier because of you and Cindy and Judy and Henrietta. Everybody that worked really hard. We had the wonderful event, and then everything with the green on Sunday. It was great. So we'll just have to wait and see. But these New Milford numbers are distressing for us as Democrats.
Yeah.
They're distressing, and we have gotten now. We've been here almost 2 hours. We're getting ready
Yeah,
to
we're
wind
still
it
waiting
down.
for Torrington.
And we have no word from Torrington. No word from
Really?
Torrington, Paul.
Yeah.
So I was at the Armory. There was a 2-hour wait. The line was all the way down into Fusenage Park parking lot. That's how long it was. And they ran out of ballots at the city hall for the same day voting, and
Right.
then the two machines broke down, the counter machines, whatever it was, at the Armory.
Oh, my goodness.
So it was not it was challenging there. It was not easy. So,
Yeah.
but I think Goshen went well overall.
Oh yeah.
That's
Yeah,
great.
It was nice and smooth. It took a little while to get the count done, but other than that, it was okay.
Yes, I would say, we've done this show more than 10 years now, a long time. This is the slowest results we've ever
Yeah,
gotten.
I would say
Yeah.
Goshen
Well,
is.
there's so many checks and balances now. That everybody's counting everybody and everything, because they would usually run that tape. They ran us at 10 of 9. They would typically run that at 20 after 8.
Right.
There was an extra half an hour of people just checking this and checking that.
Well, I will say Goshen must feel good that they're all in one district now.
I know, wasn't that great? I would say that was a great thing. But what I used to like about that before the switch, and again, we've only been there for five and a half years now, is that it was split pretty much between Woodridge Lake and then the rest of the town, so that you could get a good feel for what was going on at the lake, as opposed, in contrast to the rest of the town. And you can't really tell that now, other than I was saying to John, who who used to live in Goshen, now lives in Litchfield, and I used to live in Litchfield,
Yes.
now live in Goshen, that all those, there was a lot of Harris signs around the lake there. So we did good with that. Though I must say, I was telling Todd before the selectmen meeting today, I had 3 of my Harris signs stolen over the last few days that I'd put out
Yeah.
around Goshen. So, well, anyway, we're about to wrap it up. So thank you, Paul. Thank you
guys.
for your service, everything you all did, and for calling in. And I guess certainly no word yet on the presidential, so we're just going to have to go hang out and wait and see what goes on. So,
Exactly.
All
We'll
right.
we'll wait for morning
all right, yeah, or past that.
or December.
We'll see. All right, you have a good evening. Thank you so much. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. That was great. So we're in our final few minutes here, and I don't know, any closing thoughts? Anything else update us, John?
Well, I'm just trying to take a look. Obviously, Harris has a very substantial lead in Connecticut. So that's one of the trends. We certainly know that Chris Murphy has been reelected. We're waiting to find out the results in the 5th
I was
district.
going to say, what about Johanna? Have they called that yet?
No, they have not that I
Wow.
can see.
Wow.
So we'll see. Again, you got probably a lot of late results going in.
Well,
So
if
we'll
it's
see.
taken this long, like Paul was saying, I mean, we've again done this for a number of years now, and but certainly more than a few, and we're able to pretty much almost do the whole district. Not able to do that tonight at all. So we did the best that we could. We really had a great time, as always. Thank you so much to Rob Cable 5, Doug, everybody
Yes.
here doing the great job.
Yes,
that
it's
everybody
been
did.
another exciting election night, and the excitement is not over.
It's certainly not over. I'm not sure how much sleep anybody's going to get tonight. I personally feel that they meaning the higher up of the national level people there, I think they probably have some idea which way this is going, Trump or Harris, based on the exit polling and all the computer abilities and things they have now, and that increase every 4 years that we do this. But thank you to everyone that voted. It really, even though I'm an old woman now, I stand there and I see all those people in line waiting for 2 hours to cast their vote. It's really special.
Well, it's good to
So-
see people voting. It will be very interesting to see what the actual turnout is,
Right.
because it does look like it was slightly off from 2020. So when all the final votes are counted, it will be very interesting to see, the percent turnout and, how everybody did. Plus, we'll find out what pollsters were good and what pollsters were
That's
bad.
right. That's the
What-
biggest thing, right?
What columnists knew what they were talking about and who didn't.
Some
So
did and some didn't, and whatever your particular bent is on your television watching, which channels you preferred, with one's going to be right and one's going to be wrong. We're going to find that out.
We certainly
pretty,
will,
pretty
and-
soon. So and thank you to everyone who participated in the early voting. I know candidates really counted on that. They were able to tell who was already out, who they needed to get after to come and vote. I think it's been a wonderful thing for Connecticut. I wasn't sure in the beginning, but I voted the first day, and it was great.
Well, a lot of people took advantage of it, and as I said, we'll see if it actually drove out additional turnout or not.
Well, we're going to see.
We won't know that until they count all the numbers up, and that takes a few days for the Secretary of State to
do
get
that.
that all.
So thank you again for sharing your time with us, and we'll wait and see for the rest of the results what happens. So
We certainly will. This has been a lot of fun.
right,
I
and
hope
God
everybody-
willing, we'll see you next year.
I hope
for
everybody
the
enjoyed it.
municipals. Yes, thank
Yes.
you again. Thank you, John.
And thank you,
So
Audrey.
thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Take care. Have a